So I have seen many people complaining within Path of Exile 2 about the Wtich class, complaints mainly about the minions just not being good enough early game. Yeah, for sure they can be made better as you progress, but it's still a great point which when it comes to certain boss fights or most of the boss fights, or if you get overcome by enemies, the minions are just seemingly useless. And you know what, I actually agree from my experience. It isn't naivety from new players, the minions just seem straight up bad. In this video I bring you a few tips and tricks for that Wtich class, for those new and early players, what you should be doing early on, the better skills in my opinion to help you progress faster and easier, and much more. How's it going guys, my name is DPJ. Now people watching this yet to have early access to Path of Exile 2, here is your chance as I'm giving one lucky person a chance to win this game. To do so it's as simple as this, hit that like button on this video, make sure you are subbed and leave me a comment down below. I will pick a winner from the comments section and announce them in a couple of days, so good luck. The winner of my last giveaway you can see on screen now. If this is you, hit me up on my Discord, link down below. So I said on my previous video, as I'm a massive Diablo fan, I never played enough of Path of Exile 1 to call myself a pro, but the Wtich instantly reminded me of my favourite Diablo classes being the summoners, mainly my Necromancer in Diablo 4. So the Wtich is what I instantly knew I was going to be using, and the similarities to what they were in Diablo with the Necromancer are uncanny. Now I don't mean this as in gameplay wise, although it is kind of similar, I mean just how poor the minions are that you are summoning to help you out. Diablo 4 on launch and for a long time after launch, players were having issues with those summoned minions just being not good whatsoever. And it led to many players, including myself, just going for like the bow and spear build and things like this, which were totally broken early in Diablo 4. Now things in Diablo 4 have definitely changed now and minions are actually good, but early on it wasn't like that. And for the Wtich in Path of Exile 2, it feels more or less the same. They are definitely not as good as they should be early game. And it's the main selling point of this class in my opinion. People like the idea of summoning allies to engage in all out war. Sounds great, but in reality, gameplay wise early on, no matter what you really do, your minions don't actually do much. And yeah, here I'm talking about your skeletal warrior minions, your skeletal sniper minions, etc. Now I'm singling these out because in actual fact guys, the bow minions you summon with Unearth are actually quite decent, which we'll come to that in a second when I give you a few tips and tricks as to where you should be going in your early Wtich game progression. So yeah, the minions are pretty poor straight off the bat, weak against bosses, and they ain't very good against when you get overcome by enemies either. So what should you be doing on the Wtich? Well, I'd personally say take the direction of using spells. Luckily for the most part on your basically your passive skill tree, especially early on, nodes that give you extra minion damage also give you that spell damage at the same time. This eliminates the issue players may think they're having if they've already chosen that minion damage path. If you want to switch out to do and work on spells, you're fine. So spell damage in my opinion is a way forward on the Wtich, especially early on, and I can't state that enough. This is early game tips and tricks people. I've actually seen people out there that have somehow got 200 or 300 hours in a game that come out a couple of days back, playing on New Game Plus and things like that. And I'm telling you now, 99.999% of the community are going to be nowhere near that point yet. So we go from the very start, and like I said, videos from me are going to be early game tips and tricks, like this one right here. So yes, spell damage in my opinion is the way forward on the Wtich. So what should you be using in regards to skills? Well, early on there are certain few skills I do recommend for this and how this game plays out. So you fight bosses, but in between bosses you fight ads, and to be honest most of the time ads come at you in droves of like 10, 20 or even more at a single time, and you can easily become overcome by these enemies. So you need escape routes, you need things to help you in this exact situation. You then at the same time want skills great for bosses, so this is exactly what I will help you out with. Firstly though are your weapons. Now what I use as my main, although it's in slot 2 right now, is the Staff of Sparks with that lightning bolt skill attached to it. Now the thing I love about this skill is literally making bosses a walk in the park for me, and it will for you also. As long as you understand the boss mechanics you're fighting against, a lot of the time it's just moving, avoiding certain mechanics and attacks and just laying down that damage, this weapon, this skill has made every boss I've fought so far super easy. This skill allows you to keep your distance while still spamming out attacks and dealing damage to bosses, dealing decent damage too. And it really is my main source of damage against the bosses I have fought. Well, I do use other skills at points, but this is my number one. Now I have no doubt there are other skills tied to weapons that might also act this way and will allow you to deal damage from distance at a nice consistent rate, but what I've seen so far, the lightning bolt in my opinion seems to be the best. My number 2 skill is what I'm using is the Orb of Storms. This is a great placement skill for a single area, which shocks and deals damage to anything within this vicinity. Great for bosses, especially if you can predict their movement. Okay, so my other skills I'm using here, which massively help your playthrough in dealing with many minions that attack you at a certain instance, is Contagion. This is a skill I highly recommend. You basically apply a debuff to a single enemy. Upon you taking that enemy down, it spreads this contagion to nearby enemies, and then the cycle simply repeats of you taking them out and it's spreading. It literally spreads like a wildfire if used correctly, and will allow you to take out multiple enemies at the same time when you are surrounded. It's very helpful. Now if you pair this with Essence Drain, it becomes even more powerful. Using your Essence Drain on said enemy before hitting them with that contagion, but also spread that Essence Drain too. The combo I love doing when surrounded is dropping my Orb of Storms, then hitting an enemy with that Essence Drain, then using that contagion and then just dropping lightning on their faces. It's unreal how quickly you melt enemies doing this, and I can't tell you how many times this exact combo has helped me in regards to being overcome by like 20 or 30 enemies to a point of me not being able to escape by dodging. And then guys, to help you deal with other enemies that will no doubt come swarming in, I spam out Unearth. The Bone Minion Unearth summons when used on corpses are arguably better than the skeletal minions, which is a shame, it really is. Now I have slotted in a few different sockets on my skills, mainly on my lightning bolt. I have concentrated effect and conduction, also applying controlled destruction on the Orb of Storms. Now this is obviously all a work in progress because I'm still an early game player like most of you watching this. Things will definitely be experimented with, but this setup and the basics of it and what I've explained today are amazing for the Witch. I've literally destroyed every boss standing in my way so far. Even destroying bosses people have claimed are impossible. I've walked through them. Now the armor I am using here is all stuff that just ties into what I'm working with, all stuff you get real early on which can be changed for anything else which will help you out even better. I personally lean towards things that offer me help with my survivability, especially on my armor. Same goes with my passive too. Looking at the skill tree, as I said earlier, yes, spell damage is great, but at the same time you want to balance in a bit of survivability, which is what I've done. I'm also using the wand, guys, which you may have picked up on, but I'm actively looking for other options too. Yes, the wand is okay and can be made super powerful with that chaos bolt. It's just I have my ranged weapon already in my staff and that lightning bolt, so I'm actively looking for something that helps me more at close quarters. I've seen a few different things but haven't concretely decided on anything specific yet. I'm kind of looking at the Bone Blast though, playing with it at the minute seems pretty fun, but yeah, we will see. Now the way I have set this up for me, although minions are the last thing I'm really bothered about spawning in, using the scepter in my offhand with the skeletal warrior minion skill on it, these will be summoned when I switch to my wand and attack with it. Whether I'm using Chaos Bolt or even Bone Blast, it will spawn in my skeletal warrior minions. So it's why I am still kinda working with them, but they ain't my priority and nor should they be yours, especially not early on like I said. Well, there we have it, guys. The skeleton minions in Path of Exile 2 on the Witch as a starter player just ain't great in my opinion, and it's why I feel it's best for early players to concentrate on other things like spells, especially early game while you're making that progression. But there we have it, guys. Are you playing the Witch wrong? Let me know. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, leaving a like really helps out. If you like what you see and want to see more, be sure to subscribe. And hopefully, guys, I will see you on that next one.